Hello, welcome to MANNYgram. This is a video presentation, hoping that this will help us become loving and lovable person. My name is Manny Mullaneda, and I'm happy to be with you today. How are your days? By the way, supposing you were a painter, and you will be asked to draw a picture of the world today, how will it look like? Will it be a happy face, smiling face, sad face, fearful face? If you have the chance to visit the United Nations at the entrance of the building, you can see a globe, circle, round globe. But you will notice that there are cracks. Some parts are broken. What does it signify? It means that even the world today are not united. We have wars, conflicts, rumors of wars. We have problems, calamities, disasters. The world today is facing a big problem, and that is the coronavirus, COVID-19. And this victimizes many countries in the world, more than 100 countries. It affected the economy, the livelihood of people, the running of the government, and deaths happen. You know, when it comes to pestilences, it is a contagious disease that spreads like wildfire. And it resulted to many deaths, and now it becomes a pandemic. Now, why is it that we have so much problem in the world today? I think it is because of violation of the law. Where there is no law, no offense. Where there is law, there is offense. Now let us study today the 4 handwritings of God. 4 handwritings of God. You know, God is a supreme being. He did not write other subject matter. But let us take note on the 4 handwritings of God. The first handwriting is that one that he wrote in the 2 tables of stone. We call it the 10 Commandments. Now, these 10 Commandments, we have this on record in Exodus 31:18, and it says, "And God gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stones, written with the finger of God." Who wrote it? God. What did God use? He used his own fingers. And what do we call it? The 10 Commandments, written in 2 tables of stones. Now, in the 10 Commandments, it is divided into 2. One is love to God, and number 2, the second stone, is love to man. So the first 1 to 4, love God with your heart, and 5 to 10, love your neighbor as you love yourself. 10 mangoes. You group it into 2. 1, 4 mangoes in one group, and 6 mangoes in the other group. How many mangoes? 2. How many groups? Only 2. How many mangoes? 10. Only there are only 2 groups in the 10 mangoes. Okay. That is the first handwriting. The second handwriting of God is found in Daniel 5:24 to 26. Daniel 5:24 to 26. Now, this is about King Belshazzar, the king of Babylon. You know, we are acquainted with King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and then this time it was King Belshazzar who was the king. And while the king tendered a party, he invited his governors, thousands. They feasted, they were shouting, singing, dancing, doing their own pleasure. But then while they were in the height of enjoyment, the king saw a handwriting. There was a hand that wrote something on the wall. And he was perplexed. He was astonished. What is that? He tried to look at it closely. He cannot read. So he called his magicians. He called his wise men. Come, come. There is the handwriting. I cannot read it. Please, tell me what it is and the interpretation. But then none of the wise men, none of the magicians were able to interpret or explain the meaning of that handwriting. Then there was someone who told the king, you know, king, I know a person who can read it and who can interpret it. His name is Daniel. It happened during the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar. King Nebuchadnezzar saw a dream, and it was Daniel who was able to tell the king of the dream and interpret the meaning of the dream. So, King Belshazzar called Daniel, and Daniel appeared before the king. Tell me, what is the meaning of that handwriting on the wall? Then Daniel said, we can read it in Daniel 5:24 to 28. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Many, many shekel of our sin. But what is the meaning? And Daniel said, this is the interpretation of the thing. Many means God hath numbered your kingdom and finished it. Shekel, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. And then the king gave honor to Daniel. But you know, that very day, the joint force of Medo-Persia attacked Babylon, and the king was assassinated. That was the end of him. But what was in that writing? What were the offenses done by King Belshazzar? Okay. 1. Pride. Have not humbled himself before the God of heaven. Number 2. Serving, worshipping other gods. He praised the God of silver, the God of gold. Then another sin, immorality. He had wives and concubines. Number 4. The use of sacred vessels taken from God's temple in Jerusalem. Meaning, King Belshazzar committed the sin against the 10 Commandments, worshipping other gods. And that was the end of him. God punished Belshazzar, the king, during that day. Then the third handwriting of God is found in John 8, 2-6. John 8, 2-6. It says here, "And early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act. Now, Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou?" This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and with his fingers wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not. So this was the third writing of God, Jesus himself. When a woman was accused of adultery, brought into his presence, and the accuser said, "Okay, what is your judgment? What judgment could you render on this sinful woman?" Then Jesus stooped down and then wrote something. Well, friends, I did not know what was written there, but because I was not there. But you know what the scholar said? While the people were trying to hold stones, because in the law of Moses, if someone commits adultery, they have to stone him or her. And according to some scholars, those written were the sins of people around, sins against the Ten Commandments. Some of them were stealers, thou shalt not steal, murderer, liars, disrespectful to their parents, serving other gods, and so on and so on. So Jesus said, "Whoever among you feels that he is not a sinner, let him first cast the stone against the woman." You know, when the liar saw it, he tried to drop the stone and evaporated. The murderer had also seen his own sin. Then he dropped his stone and he departed. The adulterers, until the crowd was thinning out. And then Jesus looked at the woman and said, "Woman, where are your accusers?" The woman was just waiting to be stoned to death, because that was the law of Moses. The woman started to lift his face and tried to look around. And he said, "None, Lord, none." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." I think the accusation was not fair, because during their time, the sin of adultery involves two people. You cannot act adultery alone. No. But where is the other party? He was not there. The other party is not there. So the accusation was not fair. And the one who is really interested in the case should be the husband. File a case against the woman or whatever. But none of those people who are also sinners, who violated the law of God, attempted to throw the stone against the woman. That was the third handwriting of God. Now, what was the fourth handwriting? The fourth handwriting is found in the book of Hebrews, chapter 8, verse 10. Hebrews 8, verse 10. It says here, "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and wrote them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people." God said, I will put my laws and write them into your hearts. What does it mean? You know, we have the old covenant and the new covenant. When the Israelites were journeying, they had a journey, they traveled to the promised land. God gave to Moses the 10 Commandments. And when the 10 Commandments was read before them, Moses delivered the message to these people. I don't know how Moses did it because there were more than 600,000 people. And in that mount, no microphone, no sound system. I don't know how Moses was able to make himself understood by the people. Well, you know, God is a mystery. There should be a mystery on this part of the event. So, when Moses told the people about the 10 Commandments, then the people promised, said, all that the Lord said, we will do. All that the Lord said, we will do. That was their promise. But you know, they failed. They were not able to fulfill their promise because they were thinking that they can keep the law, the 10 Commandments, by their own efforts, which was very hard to do. So because of their failure to comply with their promise, this time, that was the old covenant. This time, God made a new covenant wherein the same 10 Commandments, but it is now the Lord that promised to the people. No longer the people because they were failure. And God said, I'll be the one to write my laws in your hearts. This could be figurative because maybe actual writing is not, but it is the emphasis that the Lord is the one trying to impress the people, trying to teach the people, asking them to remember the 10 Commandments. So the Lord said, I will write my laws into your heart. Again, let me read it. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be my people. The same 10 Commandments, broken by the people by not fulfilling the promise, but the Lord is writing it. So we have the 4 handwritings of God. First, the 10 Commandments. Second, the one that the hand of God had written on the wall during the reign of King Belshazzar. And the third, Jesus writing the laws on the sand. And the next one is God writing his laws in the heart. Now, some would say, well, what other laws did God give to Israelites? By the way, if you try to read the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20, These are the 10 Commandments. Exodus 20, chapter 20. Okay, I would like to read it. This must be very important because it was God who wrote the 10 Commandments. The moment the Lord writes a message, that message must be urgent and very, very important. That message should not be ignored. It says here, this is about the handwriting of God, the 10 Commandments. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall not have no other, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make unto thee any graven image, and any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Verse 8, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor the cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, or his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. These are the 10 Commandments. Now you will notice, friend, that in these 10 Commandments, there is no penalty. What if you steal? What is the penalty? The 10 Commandments is silent. What if a person commits adultery? What is the penalty? Based on the 10 Commandments, none, no penalty. If a person tells a lie, what is the penalty? No penalty. But where is the penalty on this? This is the reason why God asked Moses to write a book, and we call it the Law of Moses. The Law of Moses. What are in the Law of Moses? First, I would like to read here about the Law of Moses, okay? Found in Malachi 4:4. Malachi 4:4. It says here, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgment. So there was the law of Moses. In this law of Moses contained the penalty on the offense against the 10 Commandments. So there were two kinds of laws, two divisions. We have the law of Moses, some call it ceremonial law, and the law of the Lord. Okay, let me read the law of the Lord. Psalms chapter 2. It says here, chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doth them meditate, that he meditate day and night. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. So there is the law of Moses and law of the Lord. You know, it's unfortunate that some people think that the law of Moses is the law of the Lord. The law of Moses is the Ten Commandments. No, it's different. Because in the Ten Commandments, we don't have the penalty. While the law of Moses, we have the penalty. Now, let us go back to the text about the law of Moses. Okay. According to the accusers of that woman, they said, and the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now, Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? What can you say about this? So in the law of Moses, a person who commits adultery must be stoned to death, which that punishment is not found in the Ten Commandments. It is only in the law of Moses. Now, what are the examples of the law of Moses? This one, stoning to death on the case of adultery. Now, they had a practice before that the moment the owner of the land sells his land to another person, after 50 years, when it is 50 years, the owner, the one who bought the land must return the land to the original owner. That was their law. Another one, the moment someone married a woman, and if that man dies, the brother of that man will be the one to take over as husband of that woman. That is included in the law of Moses. There are two divisions of the law. Now, I would like to brief you about the two kinds of laws. One, the two major divisions of divine law. One is called the moral law, the Ten Commandments. And the other one was the law of Moses, that some call it ceremonial law. Now, what is the difference? Okay. In the law of God is spoken by God himself. The other one was given to Moses to speak to the people. The first one is spoken by God himself, but the other one is spoken to Moses to speak to the people. The law of the Ten Commandments, in Exodus 31:18, it says, written by God's finger on stone. Who wrote it? God wrote it in the finger, on the tables of stone, using his own fingers. What about the law of Moses? Written by Moses in the book of the law. Who wrote it? Moses. Who wrote the Ten Commandments? God, using his fingers. What about the law of Moses? Moses was the one who wrote it in the book, using his pen. Another one, the law of God the Ten Commandments, that one given to Moses, we had the tabernacle, we have the most holy place, we have the courtyard, the holy place, then the most holy place. Then God instructed Moses, okay, Moses, you place these 10 commandments, the law written on the table of stone, inside the ark. There was the ark. Maybe the size of the ark was about 1.5 meters. While the law of Moses, it says here, placed beside the ark. So it is not inside. The law of Moses was placed beside the ark. The law of God existed before sin, and the law of Moses given after man had sinned. The purpose of the law of God was to reveal sin. The purpose of the law of Moses to reveal the remedy for sin. The law of God is called perfect, holy, just, and good. That's why if you read Psalms 19:7, it says, the law of the Lord is perfect. It does not say the law of Moses is perfect, no. Because the law of Moses was not perfect. It was only up to the death of Christ on the cross. After that, no more law of Moses. The sanctuary services were done away with. No more law of Moses. What is the replacement? That is another question. In the absence of the law of Moses. Because the law of Moses was just temporary. Well, the law of God is perfect. Meaning it cannot be improved. His law will run forever. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not tell a lie. I don't think God, the Lord, will allow telling a lie in the future. Just the same. It will last forever. And now, telling a lie is still sin. That is contained in the 10 Commandments. Now, the question is, after the law of Moses was abolished on the cross, what happened? Who takes over on the offenses? By the way, as what I have mentioned earlier, that there were two divisions, two groups of law. One was love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And the next one is love your neighbor as you love yourself. The first four is taken over by the church. It is the church that implements the first four. But the 5 to 10, it is delegated to the government. The government